Hey, this is Terry Bain coming at you live with another exciting business growth time. Today's a really special episode for me. Get to interview one of my heroes, one of my mentors, one of the coolest cats I've ever met, a guy named Bob Burg. And before we even talk about him, my good friend Janet E. Johnson is going to give a little intro, tell you all about how come he's so fantastic. But today, the E stands for excited. Janet E. Excited Johnson. I'm hoping you're half as excited about me. I know this is my mentor, not yours.
I am. Yes, I'm very excited. I'm always excited on this show. It's so much fun. We try to have a blast with it, and we learn so much. And today I have heard you just talk up Bob so much. I'm so excited to meet you. So let's get into your background, and then we're gonna bring you on. Bob, can a subtle shift in focus really make that big of a difference in your business and your income? Our guest, Bob, says absolutely yes. Bob Burg is a sought-after speaker at company leadership and sales conferences. He regularly addresses audiences ranging in size from 50 to 16,000. That's a lot of people. He has shared the platform with notables including today's top thought leaders, broadcast personalities, Olympic athletes, and political leaders, including a former United States president. I don't know who that is, but we'll have to find out. He is a co-author of the international bestseller, The Go-Giver and Go-Givers Sell More, and author of Endless Referrals and numerous other books. More than 1 million copies sold in total. The Go-Giver has been translated into 21 languages. His newest book is Adversaries into Allies. Win people over without manipulation or coercion. Bob is an advocate, supporter, and defender of the free enterprise system, believing that the amount of money one makes is directly proportional to how many people they serve. That sounds like a lot what Terry talks about. He is also an unapologetic animal fanatic. Good, I love that. Where's my cat? No. And serves as vice president of the board of directors of Furry Friends Adoption Clinic in his own town of Jupiter, Florida. Awesome. Okay, let's go backwards. Who's the president? Welcome, Bob, first off, too.
Well, thank you. It's great to be with both of you. The president who I appeared on the same program with was actually a native of Terry's state.
Really? I know the answer.
And that would be President Ford.
Very cool.
Really? Wow. Cool. Awesome.
Cool. How long ago was that, Bob? That had to be a really neat experience. Talk about just being with the top of the top. When did that take place?
It was back in the 90s. It was part of the Peter Lowe Success Motivation programs.
Those were cool, man. I remember I saw a couple of them in Columbus, and I saw one of them up here in Detroit in the late 90s, in the turn of the century, or turn of the millennium, as it were. General Colin Powell and Rudy Giuliani was at one of the ones I saw. I think Les Brown. Those were great series. I didn't know you were a part of that. How fantastic.
Just for a few of them. In the late 90s.
Okay. What happened to those? Do you know? Those were motivating as all heck.
I think they were around for a long time. I'm really not sure what's going on with them now. I haven't heard of them in a while now. But who knows? They could still be going strong as far as I know.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of those, Janet? The Peter Lowe Success Series? I'm sure they came to the Twin Cities. I just don't know if they made your radar or not.
No, I hadn't. Neat though, huh?
That's very cool.
Tell us about all the books behind you, Bob.
This is just one minuscule part of my home library. I kind of like books.
That's awesome.
So,
thank you.
I've heard that leaders are readers, right? That's one of the catchphrases I've heard. And I know every once in a while I'll see you do a video talking about things that you picked up in a book. And you don't just read books, you devour books. I see markings and Post-its, and you must take all kinds of notes in them. Yeah.
Here's one I'm reading now. I'm about 3/4 of the way through. Humans Are Underrated by Jeff Colvin. I just did one of my Influence and Success Insight videos on it. It's an absolutely fantastic book, and yeah, a lot of the books over there, you can see some of them have lots of sticky notes, and inside they're highlighted and notes and so forth. So yeah, I'm not exactly a speed reader, I'm afraid, but I get a lot out of the books that I read.
Do you read multiple books at a time, or do you read one, finish it?
No, I usually have about 3, 4, sometimes 5 of them going at a time.
Fantastic. And then what's on the, like, is the Post-it note just to mark a page that you want to come back to and take a line from and share that nugget? Is that what you use the Post-it for, or is that?
It might be to share a nugget with, but it might also just be for when I go back to it. It just reminds me that there's something important on that page I want to read and relearn and so forth. So it just sort of depends. But yeah, it's definitely there to show me there's something on that page that's important.
Very, very cool. Now, did you become an avid reader before becoming an author, I assume? Because you wrote your first book in the late 90s or mid-90s even.
Yeah. Well, growing up, I always saw my dad reading. He was very self-educated, and always saw him reading. But when I was a kid, I didn't really read how-to books or personal development books. It was more stories on sports. I was a real baseball fanatic, so anything I could find on baseball I would read, and I even enjoyed reading novels when I was a kid. It wasn't until I started in sales in my early 20s that I began to actually read books in order to learn and grow. One of the first ones I read was Og Mandino's The Greatest Salesman in the World, and James Classen's Richest Man in Babylon, and then, of course, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. And I just started to read and read and really enjoyed it and found it helped me grow on the inside, and then results began to manifest on the outside.
Yeah, you forget that somebody like you had a path to go through to get to where you are today. So you mentioned being in sales. What were you selling back in the day, and can you walk us through the evolution to the man we know now?
Well, I began selling advertising time on the television station where I was a broadcaster. I was a newscaster. I wasn't very good at it, though, and I knew that wasn't going to be what I was going to end up doing. And but to make some extra money, because I was in a very small market. It was an ABC affiliate, but it was a very small market in the Midwest. And so I started selling some advertising time to make extra money, but I had no selling know-how, no knowledge at that time, so I pretty much floundered. And the training wasn't, any better than just go in, try to make the sale, and get out. So it wasn't, exactly conducive to building relationships and doing it the right way. But fortunately, I was in a bookstore, and I came across a book by Tom Hopkins, now a classic, this is 35 years ago, called How to Master the Art of Selling. And just seeing the title of the book gave me hope, because the art of selling, there's an art to this. It's more than just going in and talking to people, right? And so I would study the book at night, and I'd do what Tom said. I'd practice, I'd highlight, practice, drill, rehearse, highlight, underline, study it. And within a few weeks, my sales began to really go through the roof. And of course, the only difference between where I'd been 3 weeks earlier and where I was now was that, at that point, 3 weeks later, was that I had a system for doing it. And I define a system as simply the process of predictably achieving a goal based on a logical and specific set of how-to principles. In other words, the key is predictability. If it's been proven that by doing A, you'll get the desired result of B, then all you need to do is A and continue to do A, and eventually you'll get the desired result of B. And that's what was happening. Well, then I began to study people like Zig Ziglar, who became a real hero of mine. And anything I could find on sales, any seminar I could go to, I'd start to go and study, and eventually work my way up to, in another company, as sales manager, and started sharing with other people what I did, and it sort of morphed into a speaking business.
Fantastic. Janet, ask Bob to do a Zig Ziglar impersonation.
I've got some of those on YouTube actually, from where Zig came and spoke at a meeting, an annual meeting we used to put on, and Zig and Mrs. Ziegler and their son Tom Ziegler were on stage. Zig was actually receiving the first annual Go Givers Lifetime Achievement Award, and I did an impression from one of Zig's back then tapes, not even CDs, tapes that I listened to tons and tons of times, so I could imitate Zig, and of course I was just so honored to be able to do that in front of one of my great heroes, and I was glad that he enjoyed it.
So you got to impersonate him to him.
Yeah,
that's even better than just doing it.
You've got to see it now, like just a little tiny piece of it. Come on.
Let's see. Oh, well, it's true. You can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And I do that with all respect to a great man who touched the lives of millions and millions of people, and certainly touched my life as well.
Yes. I've actually had a couple of his books on tape, or not tape, nowadays it's whatever, but it actually was tape back in the day. Scary to say. So yeah, I listened to that closely, so that was very good.
Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Well, let's get into your books. You have a book titled The Go-Giver. Is that one of you have a newer book too, as I was reading this too, but is The Go-Giver one of your top selling books out there?
Oh yeah, that's our top-selling book. I co-authored that with the brilliant author John David Mann, who is really the lead writer and storyteller, and that one has sold over 500,000 copies at this point, and we're very happy with that. And it's being re-released in an expanded version. The story is staying the same, of course, but because it's a business parable, but we've added a question and answer section and a little study guide to it. And Ariana Huffington was kind enough to write the foreword for it, and Adam Grant gave us a great quote, and Glenn Beck and many people. So we're really thrilled about that. So that will be coming out. It'll be ready for pre-order, actually, I think, in a week or so, and then it will be hitting the bookstores in October.
Nice.
Great. So sometime in early September, it'll be ready for pre-order, just so we can actually put a date on it. And then you can find it October 2015 and any time after, because who knows when someone's actually going to listen to this. So we need to, give them a little timeline on it. So I'll tell you, I devoured that book. I remember, and I can't remember if it was 2006 or 2007, and I don't even remember the game, but the Super Bowl had just ended. I had the book on the table, and I'm like, you know what, I'll read a couple of chapters of this before I go to bed. But it was so engaging, and it was really one of the first times I'd actually read a story that had business knowledge and information. So what John David Mann did with that, being the storyteller of it, and then weaving the nuggets of information, you could tell which was John David and which was Bob Burg, right, based on how it came across. But boy, oh boy, that was just a really engaging way to pick up a lesson. And the Go-Giver is such a great story. Everyone's familiar with the Go-Getter, but how did you come up with the title for that?
Well, while the term Go-Giver is sort of a play off of Go-Getter, the interesting thing is that the two are not opposites. We love Go-Getter. In fact, there was a great business parable written many years ago by Peter Kine called The Go-Getter. And it's one of my favorite books. It has a definite honored space on my bookshelf. And we love go-getters because go-getters take action. They get things done. As business people, Janet and Terry and everyone listening and watching, we all know that we can have the nicest thoughts, the best ideas, the greatest intent, but unless action is put into the mix, nothing's going to happen. It can't happen. So we love go-getters. Now, the neat thing is that there's no natural division between a go-getter and a go-giver. Many go-getters are also go-givers, and we would say that every go-giver is also a go-getter. The opposite of a go-getter then is, the opposite of a go-giver then, is a go-taker. And that's that person who feels almost entitled, if you will, to take without adding value to others, to the person, to the situation. And so when we use the term go-giver, we're really just talking about that man or woman who has learned, or who perhaps always intuitively knew, that it's that person who can shift their focus, who can move from an I focus or a me focus to an other focus, always looking for ways to add value to the lives of others. That's the person who accomplishes the most, not just long-term, but short-term, medium-term, and long-term. That shift in focus is so important. It's very concrete. It makes it real world, because I'll often say when I speak at a sales conference, and I'll say this jokingly, of course, not in a dogmatic fashion, but I'll say something like, nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet. They're not going to buy from you because you need the money, you want to make the sale, or even because you think it would be in their best interest. They're going to buy from you because they believe, because they feel that it's of more value to do so than to not do so. And that always begins with your focus being in the right place, on them. What is selling? By definition, selling is simply discovering what somebody wants, needs, or desires and helping them to get it. And that's why John David Mann and I both say that money is simply an echo of value. It's the thunder to value's lightning, if you will, which simply means the value must come first. The focus, the value must come first. And the money you receive is simply a very natural and direct result of the value you've provided.
And that just ties in so nicely with your belief that you receive based on the number of people you serve. I mean, and by serve you mean how much value you create. Is that fair? Am I jumping there?
Oh, absolutely, because with law number one, the law of value talks about the value you provide. The second law, the law of compensation, takes it to the next step. It says it's not only a matter of providing great value, but it's impacting a large number of lives with that value. As one of the mentors in the story, Nicole, told Joe, the protege, law number one represents your potential income, but law number two, the number of lives you touch with that value, represents your actual income. Exactly.
So I know that the one that sells the most is easiest to say, yeah, that's my favorite. And I'm asking you to pick your favorite kid here, right? Because that's kind of what writing a book is. You're giving birth. Winning Without Intimidation is my favorite book of yours. As much as I loved Endless Referrals and got a ton out of it, as much as I enjoyed The Go-Giver, I haven't read Go-Giver Sell More. What's your favorite? Can I ask you that?
Well, on one level, The Go-Giver is, because it's sort of the one that has just, I think, made the biggest impact. And I certainly just enjoyed the process of writing with John David Mann, and what an honor that was. My book, Adversaries into Allies, which is now just come out in paperback, and we changed the subtitle to Master the Art of Ultimate Influence. That's probably, I guess, what I feel I was put on earth to do, because I'm sort of carrying on my dad's legacy of how to really bring out the best in others. And I believe that when we learn how to influence, and what I call ultimate influence, which is to be able to get the results you want when when dealing with other people, but the key part, in such a way that they feel genuinely good about themselves, about the situation, and about you, that's something where that's sort of my thing that I take a lot of pleasure in communicating. And I've always said the greatest people skill, because really what this book is about is people skills. And I've always said my dad is by far the greatest I've ever known when it comes to people skills. To this day, he still is at 90, 91, almost 92. And I've always said that the greatest people skill of all is a genuine and sincere interest in the other person. And my dad has always, and my mom too, have always embodied that. And so I guess this book would be the one where I feel I'm, carrying on that legacy, so to speak.
Yeah. Wow. That's really, really good information. Now, yeah, you're just filling my head right now. I'm kind of like overwhelmed here, so it's great. It's fantastic. I mean, the information you're giving, it makes so much sense, but I think it goes against what some people are doing out there. I think the world is trying to move that direction, but it's kind of that battle of give, take, that battle of, I got to make that sale. And I love that. I believe the internet and with social media, you really have to be a giver, a connector, a giver, and not expect back. And I think a lot of people in the past had just expected back.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Go ahead. I didn't mean to.
No. Yeah, I love it. Go ahead.
I was gonna, and I agree with you. And I think the internet has made it so that it's a lot more difficult to get away without being authentic, because eventually something that you do or say or write or whatever, it gets out there, it comes across. Now, there's a lot of false information that can be spread on the internet too, which is a shame. But the good part is it also is keeping individuals and companies more accountable. And I think people do understand that in today's day, it's important to continually ask yourself, how can I provide value to that person? I often say, and Terry certainly heard me say this, it's sort of what I've based my business on, and that is, all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. And this is true online as well. It's not with those computers they know, like, and trust. It's those people they know, like, and trust. And I think what we have to do is give in such a way that we know that as we do this, we're adding value to people's lives in a significant way, in a way that they see it as being of value, because it's not a matter of just us doing things that we think they should appreciate. It's understanding that value is always in the eyes of the beholder. So that's why it's so important to learn what that other person sees as being valuable. And then, whether it's a matter of not expecting, I don't know. I mean, I always expect good things to happen, but I think what we really need to do, Janet, is not be attached to the results. I think positive expectation's a wonderful thing, but we can't be attached to it having to come from any one person or any one place, which doesn't mean we're depending on magical thinking at all. Not at all. It's very realistic, though, to believe that to the degree that we are always looking for ways to make another person's life better, easier, richer, more fun, more this, more that, whatever it is, however the value we provide manifests itself, the more we do that, the more we are going to develop those know, like, and trust relationships with people, the more we're going to be seen as a center of influence, the more attractive we will be to those in the marketplace.
Yes. Yes. Oh, wow. Yeah. And, I believe it's something that the go-giver, I mean, I just love the title. I think, you give, and Terry's taught me a lot because he follows your stuff. I mean,
well, and I follow Terry's. Terry's he's been a great mentor to me. I've learned a lot from watching this guy, believe me.
How do you guys know each other in the first place? How were you connected in the first place? I didn't catch that.
I'll answer that because I don't know that Bob knows.
Yeah, I'm not sure I caught that either.
You will remember a lovely lady by the name of Eve Peterson.
Oh, that's right, of course. Sure.
So Eve ran a networking organization in Ohio and in Pennsylvania.
NPI, I think, right? Was that it?
Network Professionals, Inc., NPI. So she worked for Ivan Meisner in the late 80s, early 90s at BNI and said, you know what, I want to go back home. I want to start this. He gave her his blessing to open up her own thing and not compete with her in that area for like an extended period of time. So I met Bob when he came and did our summit, for lack of a better term, in 1998. It might have been 97, but so I was 2 years in the business when I met Bob, right? And so and I posted on my Facebook today that this is a guy that's taught me more about communications than my master's degree in communications taught me. And it's pretty cool what his ability to honor people and be present with people and understand what their needs are, but communicate in a way that's not namby-pamby, but not overly assertive and direct. So it's always kind and considerate and compassionate and clear. And that's what I think is really, really important. Your father has a quotation about tact that I don't want to mess up. Can you share that with us?
Oh, he just has always said, tact is the language of strength.
And so it's just you think about having that as a role model and as a mentor growing up. Yeah, you must have just learned so much, and it's great that you have the ability to share his wisdom as a legacy for both of you. That's really, really cool.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
One of the things I got out of this too is it, made me think about, you keep talking about what you learned from your environment, your father, the reading, and it makes me start thinking about my children and what am I showing them too, so it kind of goes both ways. It's amazing what you've become and what you've done because of your environment. Now we got to make sure we're giving our own children that's the environment we want them to be.
Oh, thank you.
Great point. So, how often are you speaking? What do your travels look like for the fourth quarter? Where are you going to be? Where could people find you or see you? Do you have any off the top of your head that you know of?
Well, they're more corporate events. I think all but one I'm doing are corporate events. So, unfortunately, those aren't open to the public. Otherwise, I would put on the site where they're going to be and invite everybody to come join us. But no,
are you still doing the open one? Will you still?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot anymore. No, we're more just doing the corporate and organizational ones. Every so often, one comes up that's public. So I always try to put it out there on Facebook and Twitter and invite people.
Yeah, for sure. And then the Go Giver community is fantastic. Can you talk a little bit about that? Is that an open group or is that kind of a non-open group?
No, on the Facebook one, Go Giver Ambassadors is open. And Kathy Paget, my wonderful and brilliant business partner, she posts a quote every day from one of the Go Giver book series, or even from Adversaries into Allies or Endless Referrals. So she posts a quote with a graphic, and then she does a commentary on it. So it's just that little shot of inspiration in the morning for people, and we have a really good group of people there that comment back and forth and so forth. It's a lot of fun.
She does it too, like 7 a.m., man. I'm like, man, this lady is up and on it and consistent with it. We were talking about cadence the other day and the importance of having that consistency. So she does a really great job of making sure everybody's starting their day off with some proper inspiration and some good nuggets. I love that part.
She's amazing. Thank you.
That's great. We'll include that on our blog post too, so that they can have that link, so that they can anybody can sign up for that. That's cool. That's really cool. So let's end with a final thought, and then also where they can get your books, where they can connect with you, all that kind of stuff. What's a final thought on one thing people can do that they should remember to really be successful? Answer that question, and then tell us where they can find you.
It's a great question, and it brings me back to something that when I was first starting to get my legs in sales, and I was really kind of working my way up. There was a guy from a company. This was not the broadcasting company, the TV station. This was another one, and I remember he saw me come back after a disappointing sales presentation where the sale did not take place. And I remember complaining that the prospective customer didn't get it. And I remember he said to me, "Burg, let me tell you a couple of things." And I'm usually open to ideas. I may not agree with everything, but I try to listen and then kind of go through it and see. But both of these things made sense right away. He said, "Burg, let me tell you, when the shooter misses the target, it ain't the target's fault." In other words, what he was saying is it wasn't up to the customer to get it. It was up to me to effectively communicate it. which of course you do by asking questions and then listening and then tying the benefits of your product or service with the needs, wants, and desires of that person. He also said, Burg, if you want to make, he was much more of a last name kind of guy. He said, Burg, if you want to make a lot of money in business, if you want to make a lot of money in sales, he said, don't have making money as your target. Your target is serving others, serving the customers, he said. He said, now when you hit the target, you'll get a reward. The reward will be money, and you can do with that money whatever you want. But never forget, the money is not the target. The money is just the reward for hitting the target. The target is serving your customers. And you know, that was just something that made a big difference for me. It was something that at the time I think I knew but forgot and needed to be reminded of.
Yeah.
And, so I guess that would be the thing. It's it's like where Ernesto in the book says to Joe, asking if something will make money isn't a bad question. It's a great question. It's just a bad first question. First ask, does it serve? Does it serve the marketplace? Then ask, will it make money? And regarding where people can connect with me, Burg, BURG.com. They can subscribe to my Influence and Success Insights if they like, and they can get a free chapter of several of my books. My blog is there. They can connect with me on all the social media. Again, they can do all that from Burg, BURG.com, the homepage.
Perfect. That was a great way to end. What's in it for them is what you need to be thinking about, not what's in it for me.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome interview. Terry, any final?
I two things. One, I talk about networking and online and off all the time, and I don't think I've given a presentation or, even if some of my blog posts have it in here, and I cite you all the time, my favorite Bob Burgism is, if you're talking to someone, you can simply ask them, how would I know if someone I am speaking to would be a good referral opportunity for you? I have shared that and cited you no less than 150 times. And I have the Henny Youngman rule, man. If I use it, I take it, I cite you once and it's mine. But I continually cite you because it's that great of a question. So thank you for that. And then secondly, is there anything else you'd like to tell the audience that we didn't cover?
No, I think you all asked some great questions. By the way, Terry, I love your book. You did a fantastic, fantastic job with that one. So I hope that's still selling and touching a lot of lives out there. But I really thank both of you for having me on with you. This has been a real joy, and I thank you all, and I wish you and I wish everyone watching and listening a fantastic remainder of 2015 and beyond.
All right. Thank you so much, Bob. All right, you guys have a good one. Thank you.